This is the Tree of Life project by me, Farah, Jess, and myself. To start with, we'd like to introduce you to this picture taken by John Miller. And we'd like you to take a moment and try and see if you can identify any obvious inequality and maybe guess where this picture was taken. Now, you might have guessed, this picture was taken in South Africa, in a region called Soweto, Nfjb, where our project is based. And throughout this presentation, you'll be given some background information to establish a context that will lead to the situation in South Africa today, and thus inform you of our rationale towards the Tree of Life project, which we will clarify and pitch.
Okay, so the context of South Africa. South Africa has a long history of colonialisation by being owned by the British and the Dutch. This resulted in the westernisation of South African cultures, which is reflected in the education, the politics, and the day-to-day life of many South Africans. In 1948, the National Party were elected under the promise of an apartheid, and this literally translates to separatedness. Now, you've all probably heard of the apartheid, and we had as well, but we were really shocked when we looked a little bit deeper and found out how it was designed to oppress the black South Africans. White and black South Africans weren't allowed to have relationships or marry. They had to sit on different sides of public park benches. They'd have to use different doors and different public facilities. So cities like Johannesburg, the black South Africans would need a work permit to work there, so this resulted in the creation of suburbs like Soweto, where there's a mainly black population. Although the apartheid was legally abolished in 1994, there were many protests before this, which many of them ended fatally, and one that we'll be looking at today is the Soweto uprising.
In 1953, the National African Party imposed the Bantu Education Act. This act was a means of oppression through education. In 1976, they implemented the fact that Afrikaans was going to be the main language in schools. Families, children, and students went out into the streets on the 16th of June, 1976, and protested peacefully. They were confronted by the police, and they were tear-gassed by the police. This caused commotion, and then the police opened fire on the children, the families, and the students. This here is a photo of that Soweto uprising, also called the Youth Uprising. This boy laid down his life for the education he knew was right for him, rightfully his. The girl was his sister, is his sister, and she also fought for the same reasons. You can see on the photo on the right that she is in her house with her children, and we could question whether she actually received the education she fought for that day. If knowing that the apartheid was abolished in 1994, we could question the fact, are there still traces of that apartheid in today's society? These people believed in education so much that they laid down their lives for it. For freedom, we shall lay down our lives, and the struggle continues. And we can clearly say that the struggle still continues.
So, where does South Africa stand now? According to the Happy Planet Index, which measures out the well-being of human well-being and environmental inputs, we can see that South Africa is ranked 128 out of 140 countries. Life expectancy is 56.3 years. Well-being out of 10 is 5.1, and inequality, which is based on residents' well-being and life expectancy measures, is at 33%.
So, those are the macro statistics, but we also had a look at some more micro statistics, specifically in Soweto and Jabavu, where our project is based. So here is a headline from BBC News in 2016, which highlights the difficulties that children in Soweto face trying to travel to school. Most of the good schools are in white-only suburbs, so they have to travel 19 miles from Soweto to Johannesburg. This is often on overcrowded buses, and it can be argued, as the BBC does, that this mirrors the apartheid, which apparently ended in 1994. Then we have the employment statistics of Jabavu. So employment sits at 33.8%, and we thought that these were shockingly low. Although we did approach them with caution, as we're unsure if they asked everybody and who was included in this research. However, we did still find these really unjust, and this is something that really inspired our project.
So, if you go back to the picture which Nad had presented at the beginning of the presentation, we can see the inequality in the picture. So this is a prime example of it. We have Jabavu and Pimville, which are 14 minutes away from each other. Pimville has a double monthly income compared to Jabavu, and there's a 6% rise in children completing school. You can also see from the picture of the inequality in the picture. So we have a house which is in Jabavu, and you can also see people are scrapping for goods. And whereas in Pimville, the individuals are dressed in golf course clothes, which they are given luxuries such as golf course courses.
Researching the context has really made us discuss and question our own values. And this is why, with ethics in mind, we tended towards a set of values that are totally different to, let's say, a more westernized view that privileges the economy or market forces. We are humanists. We believe in social justice and social democracy. We are aiming at decreasing inequality and deter discrimination to create a fair and just society. We are supporters of progressive education because we want to make our learners actors and not so much spectators. We also adopt a right-based approach through empowerment and sustainability. Then the last of our values, but not the least, is quality with, and in that order, a set of core principles, which are community, equity, liberty, safety and efficiency.
So it's with those values that we created the Tree of Life project, where we seek to balance the inequalities that we have addressed earlier in the presentation. So the Tree of Life looks to build from the roots and diversity of community in order to blossom into a just society. But what is the Tree of Life?
The Tree of Life is a charitable organisation and a multi-use community centre. We chose a community centre because we believe in community, solidarity and interconnection between generations. It's made by the people, for the people, and it is also made to last. I'm Lily Arnold and I'm the development manager.
I'm Farah, I'm the resource manager.
I'm Nad, I'm the activity coordinator.
And I'm Jess, I'm the community liaison. We also work with committee members who are recruited from the local community in Jabavu. They will retrain future committee members to ensure our project is sustainable, and we will introduce you to a potential future committee member at the end of the presentation.
Now, what do we do?
Oh yes, what do we do? We address social inequality.
We laugh at that every single time.
We address social inequality through skill development, whether academic or practical. We encourage community development with mixing generations together in a safe environment, but also we provide transport.
Farah,
Yeah.
what are our goals?
So our goals are to decrease poverty through employment, to also empower the community, facilitate access to schools and improve attendance, and to create a sustainable environment.
You may be wondering how we are going to fund this project. We've looked at financial donations and material donations. Siroli Institute is willing to donate a sum of 26,000 to our community centre. They are also linked to Siroli Enterprise Facilitation, where they go into our community centre every 6 months and they help entrepreneurs with their development by supporting and advising them. We have been chosen by Green Option to be the charity of the year. We are sponsored by Teach a Man to Fish, who are closely linked to Education Pays for Itself. Teach a Man to Fish will enable us to have credibility and develop our networking. Education Pays for Itself is a conference where innovators and educational researchers and lots of other people meet up at this conference every year and talk about how education and how we can go about it. So we have been invited to this conference thanks to our sponsors to find new donors and also look at new ways to look at education. We are also associated with the University of Johannesburg as we believe in aspiration in education. These people have gone through the same educational system, so they will be willing to come to our community centre and give aspiration to some people, whether they be children or adults, and give aspirational speeches. They'll also be participating in our skill development activities. We would like a donation of £20,000 from the Dragons if they feel strong, in order to make our community centre start up.
So you're probably wondering how we're going to spend all this money. So we've created a detailed budget, which is in your booklet, and we've just got a sort of overview here. So the first year there is additional costs such as return flights, accommodation for the first 3 months, bus purchase and building purchase. We'll be moving into our building after the 3 months, after it's been renovated, and you can see images here and also of our bus. Our bus will be, we also considered not just the purchase of the bus, but also the fuel cost, the insurance, the wages for the drivers, there'll be 2 drivers working 20 hours a week to take the children to and from school, and we also considered the fuel. In addition to this, we also considered labour costs, resources, promotion, security. So we feel that this is a true figure of our results, but also the rest of the project will be about £5,000 a year, which will be funded by the donors that we just mentioned.
So far, you've heard about the context, you've heard the main guidelines of the project, you've heard about the budgeting. Now, the next step is to ask about how will this work in practically. So if you look at the logo we chose for the Tree of Life project, you'll see that it works as a metaphor for Roger Hart's ladder of participation, because this project starts from the roots and it develops throughout the tree to help the community blossom at the top. And the metaphor with the Hart's ladder of participation is very much present because as we go along in time, the roots, the creator's participation decreases, as Farah will explain.
So this is a detailed plan, but I'm not going to go through all of it. This is going to be in the handbook. I'm just going to go through the development areas and the goals that we have achieved. So after 6 months, we have communicated with donors and have potential volunteers. After the first year, we'll be working with committee members. So we'll be working side by side in decision making of the community centre. In the second year, the committee members take lead, and this is when we take a step back. And in the third year, they will have complete autonomy and control over the community centre, and we will come back to the university.
At the top of this slide, you can see the goals are reiterated here, because we're hoping to measure the success of this project by looking at, for example, the employment figures.
Ubuntu is a South African saying. It means I am who I am because of who we are. This saying has been in their culture for generations, and it shows how they find community important and interconnection important. The Soweto uprising has shown us how they value education, and so what we've gone to do is just try and add these two together in order to create the Tree of Life. community centre.
And as promised, here is a future committee member.
If you have any questions, we will be ready to answer them after this brief video.
No, I'm definitely going to shuffle a little bit.
Whether we should all shuffle,
Oh no.
I hate dancing.
Just do it.
No, we don't have to dance. You dance.
No, I'm just going to shuffle too.
Yeah, but I am thinking I might be so nervous at the time I might just be like,
Shuffling because you're so nervous. No, I'll be so happy about it.
That's not really
Yeah. I'll be like,
smiling as well.
right, we'll wait till the bus has gone past.
I keep saying
Oh yeah, you forgot to say that.
members. It's really getting my nerves. But it's just
it takes my nerves. It's kind of well.